And today I'm chatting to Fenella. And if Fenella, you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us what your business is, please.
Oh, hello, Ross. Fenella Madison, and I make cheese.
Okay, Fenella. And what's your business called?
It's called Torteval Cheese. I live in the parish of Torteval in Guernsey. And Torteval Cheese was just a name that sort of fitted.
That's a good name. But
Thank you.
how long ago did you start Torteval Cheese?
2008, I started. I actually started with goat's cheese, and then the supply of milk dried up literally. And so I went into cow's milk cheese after that. So 2008, 2009.
Okay, so why did you get into making cheese?
Well, it was all very fashionable at the time to get into food. And I'd been an NHS nurse for 25 years, and I wanted to get into food, increasingly wanted to get into food, and I wanted to be self-employed. So it sort of was two things, really: getting out of a career in nursing and going into something I'd always sort of hankered after, running my own business.
So it wasn't necessarily sort of a desire to make cheese, but it was just you were trying to figure out something that you could do where you're your own boss, basically.
It was really, if I'm honest, that was the primary the nudge. Yeah, that was. I do get on very well with people, but just the idea of working on my own in a room with the radio on, and now the radio's been supplanted by podcasts, but it's just lovely planning your day and just doing it. And any stress that you get is more what you've created yourself. It's coming from no one else, really. So no, I love it.
Okay. So who are you selling to? Do you sell to the general public or do you supply shops?
Both really. I started off doing farmers markets, and that was actually essential. And I'd advocate that for anyone starting a small kitchen table business, to get out there and test the water with a face-to-face contact with customers. Then eventually it got too time consuming to actually sell direct to the public, because that can be a couple of days really out of production. So now I mainly sell to shops and to one distributor who sends them on to restaurants. But the distributor, that side of the business has really gone down with COVID, as you can imagine. So
Yeah.
at the moment, it's only really direct stock to shops.
Okay. In Guernsey, we've got a little tradition that we call hedge veg, and it traditionally used to be when people were growing or producing things, the extras that they weren't going to make use of themselves, they'd sell on the hedge, and people would just drop cash in a box, an honesty
Yes.
box. And do you do that yourself with the cheese at all?
I don't, because I'd need to put a fridge on
Yeah.
and some power. But the nearest I do to that is selling in the local farm shop in Torteval. So that's an honesty shop. So people go in and put money into the letterbox there, and that's got great stuff in it. It's am I allowed to say where it is or not?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, oh, right, Smithfield Farm with Caroline and Frank's farm, just down the road opposite the cemetery in Torteval. And she sells meat, eggs, cheese, milk, vegetables, toys. Yeah, it's great in there.
I have actually invited them on to talk on a podcast as well. So if you talk to them, just nudge them in my direction.
Sure. Yeah, I'll talk to Carol. I'll send her a message later today.
What sort of different cheeses do you do?
Well, it as I said, it started off goat's cheese. Or maybe I didn't say. Started off goat's
No,
cheese,
you did, yeah.
and then I did. Sorry. That was just a simple white goat's cheese, soft goat's cheese, and now it's primarily a blue soft cheese called Fort Grey. But I've also got 3 white ones that I do. But on my label for them, I say bluish coat, because the blue from the Fort Grey gets into everything. So and so far it's worked. I haven't had phone calls saying I've got a blue spot on my white cheese. People, when the label's clear, people know that it might have a blue spot here and there on the rind. Yeah, so 4 cheeses mainly, and sometimes I do a simple curd, but that's not very often. Just old-fashioned cheese curds that people use either just to eat as they are, or they put in cheesecakes.
Yeah. And being Guernsey, I mean, most of the people that I'm talking to, there is some kind of connection because Guernsey's so small. It's, you bump into each other almost every week. I've tasted your the Fort Grey, the blue one. It's like trying to describe it to people. It's a soft cheese, but it's blue. It's got the blue veins in it, and it's really nice.
Oh,
You've
thank
done
you, thank you.
yeah, you do the Via Marche, which is an old traditional Guernsey show that
Yes,
happens every year, and you do it on toasties, don't you?
I do. Yeah, and it's a very, very good way of using up. I always in a batch get some duds. Well, I call them duds, but they're hard and they refuse to go soft. So they're great in toasties, you know. So
Yeah.
I think running a business, you have to find out how to cope with your wastage, don't you, and turn it into an opportunity and not a curse.
Do you
So
have a
yeah, I
favorite?
love the bien maché. Sorry.
Do you have a favorite locally produced accompaniment to go with that? A nice chutney or something?
Oh yes, well, Rocket Cider do lovely chutneys, and Sue Fgrave, who sells at the market in town, does lovely chutney. So yeah, any of those, and or I'll make something myself. But yeah, there's lots of talent on this island. You just have to just know where to find it.
Yeah. What's a working day for you doing the cheese making, or a working week? What does that look like?
Right. Well, one batch will take 2 full days, and then it'll need to have certain jobs done over the next month. So, from fetching the milk to going into the shop is a month, but it's not intensive work. The intensive work really is the 2 days making, and then maybe another day wrapping. That takes a very long time to wrap the cheese. It's all hand wrapped in cheese paper. Right. Do you want a typical day then, Ross,
Yeah,
when I'm
yeah,
actually making
please.
it? Okay, I drive to the dairy. I don't have the cows. I buy the milk from the dairy, and it comes supplied in 13.6 litre boxes. They're the sort of boxes that go into, they contain a plastic bag with the milk, and they're designed to go into those cooler milk machines that you get in cafes. And so basically, it's all in plastic bags for me. I cut off the corner, empty into a vat, heat the milk up, add some ingredients, then add the rennet, then go away, have my lunch, do other things in the house, which is another great thing about working from home. You can, you know, anytime you've got spare, you can do something else, which you can't do if you're just watching like paint dry on a wall. And anyway, so I come in, have my lunch, then I cut the curd, do a few more things for the next hour. Then I pour the cheese curds into molds, which are all sitting on a big table. Then over the next 6 hours, I turn it 3 times, then cover it and leave it overnight. The whey goes to a friend who keeps pigs for his own consumption. And or I chuck it on the garden and it makes the trees, you know, the apple trees bear more fruit. Then the next day I come in, take the molds off the cheese. The cheese has then gone from about 8 inches down to about 1.5, 2 inches in height. And I hand salt every one of them, and then rinse the salt off after a certain time and put it in the ripening fridge. That's
Okay.
basically 2 days work. Yeah.
So a batch like that, how many liters of milk would that be in total?
Usually the average amount of milk is probably about 150 litres. And I up it at Christmas because I've got to do as much as I can at Christmas, and even put extra fridges in the house to cope with the stuff I've got ripening at Christmas. So yeah, about 150 litres is the average, but it can go up to 200.
And the Fort Grey, it's wrapped. It's sort of like a hockey puck size. But how many of those would you do out of that 150 liters?
Probably about 130,
Oh,
something
right.
like
Okay.
that. Yeah, it depends which sizes. I do different sizes for different for different customers. The medium size, which is more than the one you probably know, the small, medium, and large. Large goes to delis to be cut up. Medium goes to the restaurants or to customers at Christmas. They'll buy the medium because there's, you know, they appear to be more expensive, but there's the same price really per kilo as the small ones. So, but mostly I do small ones.
And do you supply many local restaurants?
I did do via the distributor, so I don't quite know how many they've got on their books, but
Right. Okay.
it's much easier. Take to Samandis, and they ship them out for me. So it's much easier than driving around you know what it's like, Ross. It's a small island, but it takes a long time to get from A to B, doesn't it? Especially if the roads are, and quite often the roads are closed, aren't they? The direct route is not always open to you.
That's it. The milk you use is from Guernsey cows, and you have to buy that from the dairy. You can't source it from anywhere else, because in Guernsey we've got quite strict rules on what milk we're allowed to use. We're not allowed to use raw milk or anything like that. I don't know if you can expand on the rules on that at all.
Well, the dairy won't supply me with unpasteurized, so I pasteurize milk, and all the milk. The milk laws are such that you can't yet access milk from a farmer. So if I did access milk from a farmer, I'm sure it might take another law. I'm not sure, but I could try to do unpasteurized milk. But that would bring in a further expense of testing every batch in England. So which would cost me probably £50 each test, which probably isn't much, but that's a lot to lose from a batch of cheese. So things are never quite as easy as you think they're going to be, but the dairy have got very good quality control. If there's anything wrong with the milk, they ring me up and say, can you have it tomorrow instead? And it can fail on a tiny thing, and this doesn't happen very often, but the dairy are on the case straight away. So I've got huge reassurance with by buying milk straight from the dairy.
Yeah, do you know the purpose of why they're so strict on the rules? I mean, it's probably fairly obvious, but if you can explain at all.
Well, they're it's about the only. They're very afraid that if they allow, because I don't know if people know, but you can't even buy UHT milk in Guernsey. You're not allowed to import milk. Is not allowed, basically. They're frightened that the dairy industry will go to the wall if people are allowed to buy cheaper milk. I personally don't think it would go to the wall. I think if they allow people to buy cheaper milk, we could export our milk as a premium product. So I think there'll be movement on that one day. But it seems to me it'd be nice if people could buy more affordable milk, and those who want to support their dairy can do so, but the dairy can also promote it abroad. I think that would be a win-win. But anyway, we'll see. It's a bit of a taboo, isn't it? And
that's it.
Our dairy industry, we have certainly got to protect it, and the farmers and the cows are kept. As far as I know, the cows are having a lovely life. They're out on lovely, beautiful green fields, sometimes with a view of the sea, and so the animal welfare is great and the product is great.
Yeah, I don't know what goes behind the scenes at the dairy, what they try to do with promoting it, but I do believe that we are missing a trick by trying to get it out to restaurants and to celebrity chefs, to put it on TV and things like that.
Yes.
I mean, it's such a quality product. I mean, it sounds really biased, but I've been to the UK and France, and that's about as far afield as I've been. But no milk can compare to Guernsey milk. It's because we've got 3 different kinds of milk. You've got skimmed, semi-skimmed, and then you've got full fat.
So you do try milk elsewhere, and it tastes funny, doesn't it? Or it tastes watery.
It's almost like paint or PVA glue or something. Guernsey milk, it's like drinking cream, the red milk.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. And of course, the cheese is made from the red milk. And it's also not homogenized. A lot of English milk is homogenized, and that does something to the fat molecules, so it's not good for cheese. So I'm very, very lucky that I've got this.
Yeah, because there's something that's fairly unique to Guernsey milk as well. I was reading up on it before, trying to do a little bit of research, but beta-casein A2 protein, apparently Guernsey cow milk has got 80% of that in it. Jersey has only got 40, and ordinary milk, it's stated, which is probably Holstein cows or whatever, but they've only got 15. So Guernsey,
it's incredible, isn't it? Yeah. Well, it's a USP, isn't it, really, for Guernsey milk? But the problem is, I think they're afraid to push the A2 in the milk here, because it's a bit like homeopathy. We need a bit more research done on it. But I'm convinced by the goodness of the A2 milk. And also there's a lot of talk now about the microbiome, which it consists of the gut bacteria that fight off infection and keep us well. And the biggest thing you can do in your life really is have a varied diet to feed your gut bacteria, but also cheese is very good for it, especially blue cheese. So we're on to a win-win. We've got the A2 and we've got the blue mold in the cheese.
That's it. And people worry about the fat content in the red milk, but bearing in mind it's only like what 4% fat. It's 90.
Yeah.
So it's 96% fat free. I don't know why
Yes.
people worry about it.
Oh, nor do I. And I think people have just got to start thinking what's real food and what isn't real food, and stop worrying about the real food. Just embrace it. If something comes out of a crinkly packet, it's probably not going to be real food, is it? Or do you a huge amount of good? There are some exceptions, but I think, this is slow food, real food. And full fat milk is much better for you than any other sort of milk, as far as I'm concerned. And full fat, everything is better for you.
Exactly. But moving forward with your business, are you happy with the setup you've got? Would you like to change anything, expand, adapt anything?
Do you know, I'm very happy with it, really. I would love really to have sorted out a huge fridge to ripen my cheese. I've got standalone fridges, and it takes a long time cleaning them every time, and they go a bit, their doors can go a bit rusty, so I'm always having to paint out the rust, because it's like a sauna in there with damp, with humidity and water and whey. So ideal world, I'd have a walk-in cheese ripener, but I can't. It's too small in there. I can't really afford to invest in that, because I'm a small business. If I started exporting to England, it would be different. I have got news on that, actually. People are always asking, often they've had a holiday here and then they want to see where they can get it in England, which is very nice and good for my self-esteem. But I can't get it to England. I can't get it there chilled over the sea, which sounds ridiculous, but they'll only take a pallet. And you probably know, I don't know, Ross, if you know how big a pallet is, but that's probably a year's supply in a pallet. But I have got a friend who's setting up as a cheesemaker in England, and he's got a small plane. So watch this space. I'm going to be able to, I hope, sell it via this friend who's setting up in Sussex.
Right. Okay.
So we might get it into Sussex.
Okay. Would your friend supply the cooled transport, or would you have to go and invest in a?
No, they'd bring very clever boxes in the plane, and they could apparently take 600 kilos, which is an awful lot in these boxes. So the chill chain will not be broken. It only takes probably an hour to get from here to Shoreham Airport, and then they don't live too far away from there. So it would be great.
And you wouldn't, I'm just assuming that you wouldn't want to be changing your profit margin on that. So if a UK buyer suddenly turned around to you and said, look, this is selling really well, can you stock us? I mean, you wouldn't want them to be reducing your profit margin.
I wouldn't really, because I can at the moment sell all I can make here. So it would really nearly got it into a cheese shop in London called Paxton and Whitfield. Is it Whitfield? Oh, sorry, I might have got that wrong. But anyway, they said my cheese was the most expensive cheese that they would have on their books, and it costs more than apparently a rare cheese that they only have between March and April every year, or something like that. And it was an Alpine cheese, and the goats came out once the first grass of the year, and then they made the cheese. It was a rare cheese. And I said, well, look, I just can't do underneath such and such. So it couldn't go to London. Even if I had got it there, I couldn't drop the price just to say it's in London.
No. But I mean, exclusivity isn't a bad thing. I was listening to a podcast yesterday about marketing to do with exclusivity, and there's a thing called a Birkin bag. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Oh yes, yeah.
They're the most expensive handbag in the world.
Are they about £5,000 or something?
£60,000 and upwards.
Oh gosh. Named after Jane Birkin, isn't it? Yeah, the actress was carrying one around, wasn't? Yeah.
They're so exclusive that you've got to be the right. sort of discriminatory, really. You've got to be the
Yeah.
right type of person that before they'll even allow you to buy one. So it creates
Oh my
demand for
goodness.
them. So
So
your cheese could
they
almost
do.
your cheese could almost be the same. You've got a waiting list for a waiting list for your cheese.
That would be lovely, wouldn't it? Oh gosh, yes, that would be good. Yeah.
And could you upscale to supply like that at all without having to?
I could. It would really be like, I suppose, like the whole year is like it is at Christmas when I really upscale. I could do it, but I'd have to start employing someone to help me. So yeah, it's possible.
Okay, and I'm pretty sure I remember seeing you post online that your cheese has won awards.
Yes, yes, it's won golds and silvers and bronzes, but it's also been sent to various competitions and they've refused to taste it because it's come out of it hasn't, the chill factor has gone. So it's very difficult to send to a competition. I send next day delivery. If you send in the winter, it'll get there safely. But if you send in the summer, it's too warm for them to safely taste.
Does it have to be chilled? Would it change its taste if it was frozen?
Can be frozen. But I have even sent it frozen in the summer to a competition, and it was too warm then. It had defrosted despite the cool box and the cold packs. But yet it has to be kept at 4 to 5 degrees until half an hour before you're going to eat it, and then bring it up to room temperature, cut a bit off, and bring it up to room temperature that way. Otherwise, it's not at its optimum taste if you take it straight out of a fridge. But yes, it does need to be kept in a fridge.
Okay, so you worked in the NHS in the UK for 25
Yes.
years. What brought you to Guernsey?
We were just needing a change, really, and we thought we'd come over here for a couple of years, and that was 2004. We really, really liked it because it is lovely. I love living in Sussex as well, but here it's just, oh gosh, it's a fantastic place to live, isn't it? So we're still here, and we're now got local status now, so we're here for as long as we want to be.
Like you say, with your business, you don't really want to get any bigger or anything because it's a good lifestyle. That's the thing people get with it, running their own business. They're their own boss. It's flexible. You're at the beck and call of no one else, and it's a good lifestyle. The demand for your work is what you put on it.
Yes, I mean it's you can't be work shy though, can you, running your own business, because you have to be a grafter, and luckily I am. I don't mind hard work at all. So my only limitation really is energy. But yeah, if as I say, if I do get bigger, I'll get someone in to help, and that would be good.
Yeah, because you've got a daughter as well. Would she be interested in taking it on whenever you wanted to retire?
I've got 3 daughters, and no, they're not interested, unfortunately.
I think they might change their mind.
But one of them's got daughters herself, so it could be the grandchildren take, but I doubt it really. But yeah, I'll probably in the end have to sell it on to someone, and so the more I can work on the 3 white cheeses I've got, the better for eventual sell, I suppose. But I can't imagine it yet. I'll know when it's ready to go, and it's not quite yet.
Well, I think you've done well. You've built something new and a pretty much a niche really in Guernsey, because I don't think there was any other local cheese suppliers before that, especially not a soft or a blue cheese like that.
And there wasn't a blue cheese, so that's why I got into blue. But there was those Girards down the lane, just down the lane from here, or walking distance. They do the goat's cheese. So goat's cheese had a good rate of supply really on the island, but not apart from the dairy. There were no other cow's milk cheesemakers.
Yeah, it's good to talk to people though that have started something like that, because a lot of the people you talk to, they like whoever you pass your business on to or sell it on to, they haven't really started it themselves. So it's interesting to talk to people and hear the challenges they've had.
But yes, I think the challenge was confidence, as well as not being able to. And in England, I could have I could have followed a cheesemaker or apprenticed myself to one for, unpaid work for 3 months or something, as long as I wasn't going to be competition for them. There are opportunities like that, and there's nothing like that here. So it was really, I did go on 2 short courses, so 4 or 5 days of courses. But it's really confidence and learning by, learning how to do things your way that counts really. But yes, so it's a bit lonely at first, but then you meet great people along the way and make loads of friends, and the customers become friends as well. That's for sure.
Yeah, so you just got to keep pushing, even if things don't seem like they're working. Unless you keep pushing it every day. A friend told me once that someone told him that a business is like a wheelbarrow. Unless you push it every day, it's not going to go anywhere. And it's like a really
Yeah.
simple way of thinking about it, but it's spot on, And like you say,
Yes.
with confidence, you've got to have confidence. And I find that a lot of small Guernsey businesses, the owners do lack confidence. I'm inviting them on here. The last podcast I did was Sunday night, and it was a struggle. Like, I really had to convince the lady to come on. And a lot of people that I'm talking to, I don't like talking publicly. It's not really talking publicly. It's like a chat with me in the cafe.
Yes.
I mean, you need to be. If someone was to phone you and ask the same questions, it's only like chatting to a customer on the phone. But
yes, I think a lot of self-employed small business owners are a bit shy, aren't they? I think that might be, or but yeah, you have to actually. I mean, the modern way is to blow your trumpet, isn't it? Really, it's not to be modest.
You've got to.
And
if
quiet.
You're not going to sell your own business, no one's going to do it for you unless you pay them a lot of money.
That's right. And I absolutely hate having my photograph anywhere. I hate being on television, but I've just had to bite the bullet and do it sometimes. And I don't have to watch it myself, do I? Hopefully I don't look as bad as I think I do. And that's vanity anyway, isn't it? So, you just have to do things you don't really want to do. You have to ring people up and see if they'll try the cheese and that sort of thing. You do have to be a bit pushy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Fenella. It's been an interesting chat, but have you got anything else you wanted to add about your business while you've got the opportunity?
Yes, I would like to say that probably Brexit is a huge opportunity. COVID is a huge opportunity because people are going to not travel as much, and let's hope they travel around Britain and see our fantastic British Isles, including Guernsey and Sark and Herm, of course, as well, and Alderney. So yeah, I think it's very exciting times ahead, personally.
Yeah, lots of opportunities, aren't there? That's the thing. When things change, when one door closes, another door opens, and it's just about getting off your bum and finding those open doors.
It is, and I think I've been really lucky that I was allowed to make the cheese during lockdown. That was great, really. Guernsey was really sensible. Look, she works on her own. There's no contact. There's very little contact apart from handing over the cheese to the customer. The shop customer, the retail business. So there was very little risk. And Guernsey saw that. They were sensible, and I'm really thankful for that. And yeah, and I was just lucky that I haven't folded, because I don't actually run anything where I'm face to face. So that I'm very lucky, really.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I think our government should be paying us for promoting the island, but we
Oh yeah. There are a couple of deputies who are very, very keen, actually. I better not name them, but they've got some ideas for the coming year as well, and really enthusiastic deputies who are going to help push Guernsey into the right, up there where it belongs, really.
Yeah, and deputies is what we call our politicians, but that's for anyone that doesn't live in Guernsey. But okay, Fenella, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you very much for coming on and chatting and tell us.
You're very welcome.
About your business. All right.
Thank you very much for asking, Ross.
No worries.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.